From me. If any one of you would like to switch on the camera, it would be amazing. Then I could also see your faces. You don't have to, only if you want to. I am now in Berlin, and I'm very happy to be here today. Thanks also for the invitation. And I prepared a PowerPoint presentation. I will now share my screen. Let's see if I have the rights to do it. I think I do, yes. So I will start straight ahead with the presentation. Willkommen in Deutschland is how I named it. Almost all of the pictures you will see are real from Germany. I wanted to give you a little bit a feeling of the country in case you haven't been here before. So this picture is from Berlin, and I think I took it or a friend of mine took it, but it's real. And yeah, so welcome. And yeah, the content first. There are a few questions that I will try to answer. These actually 4 questions are the following ones. Is learning the German language necessary in order to live and work in Germany? What shall I know? And what level in German shall I have in order to be able to do what I want, to reach the goals that I have in Germany? Which free resources are recommended to students willing to learn German? What are the benefits of already knowing German or some German when arriving in Germany? And the last point, but not least, are your own questions. You can ask me everything you are wondering about, and I hope that I can answer. And this picture is taken in Hamburg. So this is Berlin, near the wall of Berlin. We start with the first question. Is learning the German language necessary? This is a question I'm being asked a lot of times, and I'm also thinking about it because either ways I'm a lot in contact with international students. So what I will now show you is what I've been observing the last maybe 10 or 13 years, more or less. It's not something that I read, and it can never apply on everyone because every human is different and unique. But these are my average, let's say, observations. So when it comes to work, it's very good if you speak the language. I would say it's necessary, even if you are in the economics field, even if you are working in an international company, because it's easier to find a job. You have all kinds of works in front of you, and you can apply for all of them, not only the ones where you are basically allowed to speak only English and German is not needed. In that case, you have all of them and you can apply on all of them. And you also have more opportunities for advancement, because you have to imagine that if the company is in Germany, even if international, maybe it's not international, but maybe it is, it's actually very important that you speak the language of the country, of a lot of employees, so that you can also communicate with them. Like, talking does not necessarily mean automatically communicating. There can be problems to be solved. It can be something that you didn't understand because of the language, but if you speak it, you can solve something way quicker. I cannot now tell you all kinds of scenarios, but I can assure you that there are a lot of opportunities for advancement. And yes, as I already mentioned, somehow, let's complete the point, it's easier to communicate with the colleagues, not only in the case of a conflict, but also in the case of just having a question or just wanting to have a nice talk in the break. You know, not everyone speaks English. So because for example, if we talk about Berlin, it's a very, very international place, and not everyone has the same background. When it comes to life, it's important to see, if you come to Germany, where you would be. Would it be a big city like Hamburg, like Berlin, or would it be a small place? A small place can even be a village. For example, in Bavaria, there are a lot of not institutions, like fabrics, and they most of the times are not inside the town. So this also plays a role. And in life, let's say we are placing my scenarios in Berlin, because as far as I know, your goal would also be most probably to come to Berlin, and I'm also living here, so I have more to say about this place. Also, because of history, there are a lot of people who speak Russian. For example, I had colleagues the last years, 50% of my colleagues even came from Russia, indeed. And of course, they could communicate in Russian. It's their mother tongue. But with me, they had to speak in German, because unfortunately, I don't speak it yet. And there are also some other colleagues from Germany who speak Russian quite perfectly. So it can be that you come here, and if you are more in the east part, you will not automatically from day one need German because of this. Moreover, there are a lot of young people, because of studies, who speak English. Like, we are also having it now in English. So with me, you can also communicate in that language, which means first part, because of history with Russian, and secondly, because of being in an international context, most probably starting here a social life won't be that difficult without German. The beginning will be a big issue. But when it comes to authorities, for example, when you come here, you have to find an apartment, and then you have to find do your applications, and you also have to go and register. You have to register that you live here. It's not given that all landlords and everyone will speak English. And in Berlin, at least, maybe you've heard it, it's very difficult to find an apartment right now. So it can be that if people cannot communicate with you, they will not pay that much attention. You can imagine there are like 150 people going to just watch an apartment. It's a little bit difficult. And let's say you get the apartment, because in the end of the day, almost everyone finds one, an apartment. You go to the authorities. They almost never speak English. I don't know why this is like that, especially in authorities where people have to talk with people from all around the world. I think it would be a requirement to speak the language, but somehow they don't. Even in the post office, they are not so friendly. They don't give you so much time if you have difficulties in communicating. So this part of everyday life would be easier if you would speak German. Not perfectly, but if you show that you're learning, like you're giving some effort, you will have for sure people being more open to you, because they see you're doing your best. So they will also try to help you in the communication. Yes, and socialization. Socialization is not just talking in the breaks with some students, or with a neighbor. I would say this is my. For example, if you want to make friends, understand some jokes, some gestures. For example, being able to add a sentence in a conversation, and not only being passive, but also being able to express yourself a little bit. For me, at least, this is how I have experienced having my students in front of me and seeing how they develop in socialization. Yes, and this is also an important and interesting point. Defend yourself in a conflict. I thought when I was typing it, what would you think? No, we're not in a very bad place, full of violence. That's not what I mean. What I mean is that we're a lot of people from different places with different backgrounds, different childhoods, just different human beings living together. So it's kind of inevitable that at some point in a metro, in a train, at a bus station, somewhere, there is going to be a conflict. And I also had sometimes some issues. For example, I was talking on the phone and I was not speaking in German. And there was someone who just looked at me very badly. And he even came to me years ago and he told me German that I had to stop talking. But I didn't care because I understood everything he was telling me. And I understood what was going on, what was happening around me because of the language. The language is for me a very, very positive instrument, and it gives me confidence and it makes me feel safer. So this is what I mean. So the second point, the second question is, what shall I know and what level in German shall I have for that? Branket, I know you will not interrupt me and you will ask me your questions in the end, but if there's something that you don't understand, you can stop me and then I will continue. So, bracket closed. What shall I know? I thought that these 4 things that I will now show you are the most important steps, let's say. And by the way, also these 3 pictures are also made by me. Yes, I took them indeed. So the first one is a language course. I'm not saying it because I'm having a language school. I'm not trying to promote my classes right now. It's just true. And I also learned English, for example, this English that you hear, by taking years and years of language courses. And I'm a fan, to be honest, of having a teacher. I learn better if I have someone that I can ask questions. And I'm not the type that can learn everything from the scratch on their own, but there are some people who can do it. However, I believe that it's not a bad decision. Actually, the opposite is a very good decision if you enroll a language course. And I don't know if you know the levels. According to the European frame for languages, we have different levels too. A is the beginner, so you already have some. You are an advanced speaker, but you haven't reached perfection yet. And B2, you can fluently speak, but you don't. You cannot read, for example, most probably literature. It's too early maybe for high literature, and you cannot always be so spontaneous and flexible in the language, but still it's a very high level. And the C level is where you start reaching perfectionism. You can also apply for a spot in a university, of course, find a job with this level, and so on and so forth. So I would say before coming to Germany, it would be a very good idea if you would do A1 and A2 already in your country. And I would say that you would need around 100 didactic hours. In German, it goes according to didactic hours, which means 1 hour corresponds to 45 minutes. So I'm not talking about 180 hours, but didactic hours. And yes, I would also say that B1, you could also try it before coming, but it's also a good level to do it as soon as you reach the country, because you have already learned a lot of stuff. And as soon as you come here, you will most probably be maybe a little bit scared and stressed, but also very enthusiastic and open to the language. And you will be hearing words you have already heard before, sentences. This will give you happiness and motivation, and you will learn more easily the next level, which would be B1. I would say you would need like around 120 didactic hours for B1. B1 is like B11, B12. All of the levels are separated into A11, A12, A21, A22. And around 160 didactic hours for B2. This amount of hours are a very approximate average, because every person is different. It can be that you already speak Dutch, for example, and you already understand a lot, or you don't speak any other languages besides English and Russian, and maybe it takes a little bit more time for you to enter to the new mentality of a new language. But this would be so, like, more or less an approximate approach. And of course, including also your own motivation and your own time in homework. So this picture is from Bavaria in Regensburg. And it shows that you also have to study on your own, but many people don't have to, they just want it. And the combination out of wanting and also having to is actually not a bad one. So for self-study, I would say you can use books. And I don't mean necessarily books like the original native speaker would read. It can also be books extra made for people who learn a language. For example, I've been learning Spanish. When I went to Spain, I already learned from A1 to B1, but still I was not really able to talk because of the amount of information. So with B1, I went there for 2 weeks. I did an intensive course there. I was always trying to speak, and I was also reading on my own these little books that with levels like A1, A2, listening to the CDs for the pronunciation and everything, and then I managed to speak. Websites, there are different websites with material, online exercises, all kinds of stuff. You can also take some resources to find talk mates. In German, you have to say tandem. It's like the bicycle where 2 people can ride one bicycle. It's also called tandem. So I suppose this is the idea behind it. It means, for example, I'm learning Russian, you're learning German, and we meet, for example, and I'm trying to speak in Russian, you try to speak in German, you correct me, I correct you, and like this we make progress. I have done this for Spanish too, and for me it was very successful. I liked it very much. Study online for free. Well, to study online for free means that you most probably won't have someone like synchronically, like we're having it right now, where you can interrupt me, ask me a question, I can tell you something, react. Most probably it will be videos. This exists, and maybe one or another can learn through it. This, as I said before, is not my type of learning, but if you have reached some level, to add it in your learning process can help. Like this additional parts, I do it too. It helps me too. And videos, not only this kind of videos that I just mentioned, I will also show you some. I have some examples. Videos like some series, episodes of some series, movies, these kinds of stuff. Then, if you want to live, study, work in Germany, you can also have a diploma, language diploma, not just an attendance certificate, but also a diploma. For example, the Goethe diploma is very well known around the world. We also have TEG in a lot of countries, well known too. And the difference between them is that the Goethe Institute or the Goethe diploma is supposed to go more in the academical direction and has some other, let's say, points of interest, and TEG is more the communicational one, more for the work, is not that much the educational direction. Although there is also C1 Hochschule, which allows you to apply on a university. If you want to go to a university here, but not through a program, but really apply here from the scratch and start studies here, you will need either Goethe or TEG, the one that I just mentioned. The others, as far as I know, don't count for university. TestDAF, this is how it's called, or TestDSH. So in case you're interested, you can find more information about these. Then we have the culture part. I find it extremely important. Some things can be scary, some things can be very funny. So I think we cannot leave it outside of a language. For example, in my language school, in the Lexis Academy, I always additionally explain things about culture. What do I mean with culture? Habits. Here, you must know a few habits. If I would come to Russia, I would also be very interested in knowing how some things work in Russia. Or if I would be, I don't know, in Spain, for example, as I went for a few months, it was very important to see how people think and what their habits are, their traditions. And for example, in Germany, there are some traditions for Christmas, and I love them, yeah, and I'm always showing them. I always add them in my classes. You don't need to have them in your country to do them, but they just make you feel part of the society here, or they just give you joy. And they make you understand the others. The mentality, for example, how people joke, about what they're joking. Irony in Germany does not really function. Emotional jokes don't really function because the mentality of the language of the people is more straightforward. So there can be misunderstandings. Not always, not with everyone, but most of the times. History is also important. It doesn't have to be everything, but just a few things so that you know where you are, why some people react the way they react. It's like a family that you're entering and you just want to know the background of the family. Yes, gestures and mimics. There are some things, for example, like this. I don't know if you know this. If you do like this, it means, hey, you're stupid. Or for example, I remember once I was doing like this, and I was like, please stop the train, because I was in the wrong train and the train started leaving. So I was like, please stop the train. And there was someone who started saying hi to me, you know? So this is also part of the culture. It can be very, very fun. And it's also important. Yeah, let's come to the third question. Which free resources are recommended to students willing to learn German? All these resources or sources, I also recommend them to my students. I also use the ones corresponding to Spanish, for example, when I'm learning, because learning is a never-ending process. So I recommend you stuff that I also apply on me, and I also recommend to my students. And I did, let's say, 2 categories for free, but with a teacher. It's also possible. And I'm not talking about people experiencing didactically on other people, I don't know, for whatever reason. I'm talking about serious classes, serious teachers, professionals, and still for free. This can happen in universities. If you are if you have applied for a spot and they have given you the place, so if you come here and you are inside a university, you can directly check the Sprachenzentrum, which means the language center of the university, and you can check if you can get a class for free or for a very, very low price. I don't know any other place where you can have a professional, good teacher and also have the class for free. This is the only one. That's why I'm only mentioning this one. And then you can also have it for free without the teacher. And here are the examples I promised before. So it's possible through videos, like from YouTube or from the Deutsche Welle, in case you've ever heard it. Apps. Do you know Duolingo? For example, I have students who use it. This, I haven't used it yet. I've seen how they're playing, but I see that somehow Duolingo has made it, and it motivates people, like they want to study. Let's see. Yes, thanks for the reply in the chat. Somehow it seems to be very motivational, and the sentences they make with the pink elephants and stuff seem to be successful. Then I also mentioned before didacticize, is this how we pronounce it? Books, like books with levels, and magazines. For example, there is one that a lot of teachers use in their classes and a lot of learners read them. It's called Deutsch Perfekt, and it's extra written for people who learn German. And you have, for example, some texts, some articles, let's say, and you have a little notes if it's simple, like simple level for beginners, or if it's a little bit advanced, or if it's high level. And it also has underlined the words that are supposed to be unknown inside the text. And then you also have the translation, but in German. So it's basically a paraphrasis. I use this in some of my classes, and I use also these magazines for other languages. It also exists for Italian, Spanish, English, business English. I like it. And as far as I know, you can also get one for free, the first one. You can also do an abonnement. If you like it, then you want it every month. Or you can buy only the one you like every now and then. Or if you are here in Russia, I don't know, you can also find it in libraries, and you can just borrow it. Then it doesn't cost. And the last one is Tandem, what I mentioned before. At the Potsdam, it's also structured with a lecturer who gives input. You can also get marks in the end, or just you and your tandem partner, or partners, you can have more. And you can find a page here at the Technical University, or you can also join, it's Facebook. I don't know who's going to answer to you. I don't want to be the reason why something happens. I don't know. I'm just telling you that the option exists. I have tried this too. Nothing happened, thank God. But it was not that successful with Facebook. Through the Technical University, it was more successful in my case. So now let's see the videos. For example, YouTube videos. It's a group of people who make this easy German. They go on the streets, they talk with people, they have subtitles. I really like it, and I can show you. Let's share the screen. Yep.
So actually in all of again, and today we are going to present to you the first 10 mistakes and maybe some hints and solutions how you can avoid them. And yeah, this video will be in English because it will be a little bit longer than our regular videos, and we also want you to focus on the mistakes rather than on the explanation.
So as you see, they have longer videos, they have shorter videos. However, you can just take a look and see if it's something for you. I like the videos I've seen from them so far. Let's see what else was in the presentation that I wanted to show you. Extra auf Deutsch is the other one. This was a recommendation from a student of mine, and this is how I first watched it. And it's a series, like a series made extra for people who learn German, and it has some episodes and also subtitles. It's also fun. Let's see one. It's a little bit loud.
Das ist die Geschichte von Sascha und Anna. Sie wohnen zusammen in Berlin. Sie haben einen Nachbarn, Nick. Nick ist in Sascha verliebt.
Nenn mich bitte nicht Cha-Cha. Hallo Joe. Ja, das Kissen habe ich auch bekommen. Aber es ist vorbei. Vorbei.
And there's always something like a little sum up between the scenes where some things are being explained again. And then there is another one. Let's see. Let's check it here. Yes. So the other one is from the Deutsche Welle that I mentioned before. It's a whole movie. It's called Nikos Weg. And there is one whole movie for the level A1, one whole movie for the level A2, and one whole movie for the level B1. So you can see just the beginning of A1.
Abschieds. Guten Tag, Frau Kamm.
Guten Tag. Wie geht es Ihnen?
Sehr gut, danke. Und Ihnen? Hey, Lena. Na, wie geht's?
Hallo Opa.
Hallo, Sarah. Wie geht's dir?
Hi. Hey Tom. Super, danke. Und dir?
Oh, schön. Die Tasche ist schön.
Entschuldigung. Schön?
Ja, die Tasche.
So these are, I would say, successful videos that learners tend to watch, and I also recommend them because they're indeed nice. And Nikos Weg is also, apart from the video, is also an interactive, let's call it, platform on the internet, of course. And you can do exercises, you get automatically answers. I also found that they have an exercise book, like it's a whole story around it. You can do a lot and learn a lot on your own. And it's all made by people who know the language. It's not just someone who just wrote something, so you can feel safe that what you learn is correct. So let's continue with my last point. What are the benefits of already knowing German or some German when arriving in Germany? Well, what is the thing that you can? You can understand what is happening around you easier. You can learn German quicker as you have a good base to build on. You can socialize and make friends quicker. You can solve problems easier. I'm not saying anything to these points because it's basically what I explained before. You can communicate easier in the everyday life. And with this, I also mean when you just do your grocery shopping, you know, when a lot of times it happens that I'm paying for the things I bought in the supermarket, and somehow they double scanned something, and then I have to go back and say, sorry, there was a mistake. Can you please? Simple questions, simple sentences, but still in right German and polite. So for this, you also need some German. Go quicker to exams for an official diploma, for example, in the level B1. Let's say you would like to have a diploma, then if you already know some German and you come here, as I said before, you receive the input easier and also very motivated somehow. I think it happens automatically. And in case you want to have a permanent residentship, as far as I know so far, the B1 diploma is necessary, or at least it gives you more chances to get it. For that reason, it's not a bad idea to get this whole preparation, not lose time, especially in these times we're living where we don't know what's happening tomorrow. And find quicker an internship in case you want it, because it counts as a plus. Let's see. The better German you speak, the easier life in Germany will be. Some people would say it's not true, and I wouldn't deny it. Maybe it's not true for everyone. As I said, I'm kind of generalizing because I don't know you personally, and I will get to know you through your questions in a few seconds. But approximately, in average and in general, I would say that this is true according to my observations. As I said, it's easier to defend yourself in case of conflict. It's not something I would underestimate, without meaning that it happens so often. It's easier to accomplish everyday's issues. Tasks, maybe tasks is a better word. It's easier to find a job because during an interview, it counts as a plus many times, almost always. And it almost all job announcements, there is knowledge of the German language required. I can tell you that I have a student who works in a very, 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 very big company and very, 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 very international one. And still we're learning together C1. We started together with A1, we continued with A2, then we had the break in the B level, and now we met again for the C1 level. And she needs the class because she has more chances to advance inside the company. She told me her own. And when she got the job there, first she had to go through an interview. And she told me that German was very important. That's why we were also preparing the interviews together, like words to use, and some job. And I sometimes just check the market, what's going on in the market. I just like knowing what's happening. So I see a lot of times also for my students some job announcements, and I have to admit that 95% is also with the requirement of German. And I have searched mostly for students of mine who have accomplished the level A1. So it was always a disappointment, like, oh, we need more knowledge in the language. Or for some, just a motivation to continue. If you're studying in Germany, then there is one more positive aspect if you know the language, and this is the fact that you have access to a huge range of bibliography. It's not only English articles and books and sources you can use, not only Russian, because it's not only, it's already two language, but I mean, it's even more. And as you're in Germany, you will find a lot of books in German, a lot of articles and magazines that you can use. So why not if you have the chance? Yeah, so we're coming to the part where you can ask your questions. I try to show you a little bit some parts of Germany. And yeah, from my side, спасибо. Thank you very much for listening to me. And I'm open to your questions.
Thank you very much, Iris. It was very interesting and how to say, motivation to study language. Of course, I don't know German, but you know, and I don't think I will visit, but maybe the students who listen, they are interested to visit, of course. And I hope they will be interested to learn some language more. Okay, so now is the chance to ask questions, if you have any. Спасибо.
And in case you would come to Germany, for example, but with Germany, I mean Berlin, I could be, let's say, the person you can talk to. I know it's difficult when you know nobody, and you could, of course, ask me your questions. I know how it is. We all know it somehow, more or less. Every start is not so simple. And if we would also have, let's say, a class together, we could also combine it with an excursion through Berlin where we could see some things. I always like it. We also make a competition out of it, see parts that are important in the city. Yeah. So if there's any question, I will be happy to hear it. Okay. Does the required language level depend on the chosen university? Yes, indeed, that's a very good question. It depends on the university. It depends on the faculty. I know that there is a university, but unfortunately, I don't remember where. It's trying to, let's say, make the university more international, welcome more people. That's why they give more time to the students for the German language. So they start with a lower level, which, for example, in Berlin wouldn't really happen most probably. And you can already enter the university with a lower level, and they give you time to reach the actual level required a little bit later. This is possible. So yes, it depends on the university, the place, and the faculty.
This is very nice, especially taking into consideration that in most of the Germany, it is no tuition fee. So that they let you study German, also paid by the German government, seems like very nice arrangement.
And it's also a very good point that you just mentioned. As far as I know, if you study in English, then you have to pay, for example, a master's in English. As far as I know,
in some universities, yes,
yes,
but
isn't it
not
like
at all, not at all. In some universities.
Yes. Okay, then in some universities, if you study in English, it's kostenpflichtig, which means you have to pay. But if it's in German, of course, if it's an MBA, even if it's in German, you still have to pay. But the rest, because I did the research on that, not a very deep in one, but I searched a little bit. And I was surprised about this, but in general, if you study in German, it's for free or the fee is very, very low. And when I'm saying low, I mean like 300 euros every 6 months, like per semester, including your ticket and everything. So if you don't need a ticket because you go with your bicycle or you just walk, then it's even less, like 200 euros or something every 6 months, something like that.
This is very nice, exactly what we are looking for. Okay, Iris, thank you very much for your time, and I hope we can maintain some further connections. And we have, as I said, plenty of students who are interested in visiting Germany for studying. And of course, some of them will want to have internships or work there and so on. So I hope to see in the future, and thank you everyone who had patience to stay. And for others, I will send the video and they will also look at it. So thank you very much.
I also did the PowerPoint, like a PDF out of the PowerPoint. I'm now sending it over the chats. So if we wait like a few seconds, it will reach you all. It's just,
okay, thank you.
It's coming, it's coming. So you can also have the links, because maybe some of you are interested in the links and they're all inside the PDF. You can use them, and my contact is also there in case of a question or interest for a course or whatever.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you too. Спасибо. Пока.
Спасибо. Goodbye. Have a good evening, everyone. Bye.
Ciao, ciao. Tschüss.